Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Jeff at Lockdown Security, www.lockdownsecurity.ca, and I am excited to make today's video because it is on the replacement for 2023 of what I thought was one of the best radios of 2021 and 2022. Best being the most popular, best bang for the buck, most reliable, and that was the Kenwood DMX7709S, which has now been replaced with this, as you see on my bench, the DMX7709S. And I want to make this video to see, did they do a good job at improving it? Is it better, worse, same? What are the benefits? What are the downsides? So let's get started. Let's go through them. So this is it here, Kenwood DMX7709S. This is what I would call entry level on the mid-level radio. So this is by far not a value-oriented deck like an entry-level radio sub 300. This is going to be in the $300 to $500 region and give you some really good bang for your buck in that region, which would be Idylink Maestro support, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, both not wireless, both hardwired, but they now include an HDMI input on this radio for various things. Things like phone mirroring, Chromecast, that type of stuff you could plug into the HDMI port. Also Sirius XM satellite radio ready. So not a whole bunch of big feature changes for 2023. Pretty much the same as what you got with the DMX7706, with the difference being now the HDMI port. One of the big differences, though, that they have done is they have shrunk the screen size from a 7-inch down to a 6.8. The resolution is better, but they've put the buttons along the right-hand side, which are now capacitive touch. This is the feature that I don't know. I'm not a big fan of these type of touch buttons because, as you'll see, there's no real input. Like, you have no tactile or tactile feedback to let you know that you're pushing the button. Now, a lot of people are going to be using their steering wheel buttons for this feature, but I know, for example, the brand new Volkswagen Golf Type R, I think the MK8, big complaint was capacitive touch buttons because you have no feedback when you touch them. So I think that for me is a negative on this radio, and I wish that they would have kept the form factor of last year's model with the HDMI port and the faster software, as well as more vivid screen. But other than that, in my limited time playing around with this radio, it impresses me all the way. So you're going to see you have your master home button right here, takes you back to the home screen. Very Kenwood-esque. It's been the same for many, many years. So those of you who have had a Kenwood radio, you should be familiar with this. You've got selectable buttons down along the bottom. Selectable meaning you can program what your source buttons are going to be based on your choices. You've got your master app button there, so you can go to the screen with everything. As you will see, you've got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Bluetooth streaming, your telephone, your USB, radio, Sirius XM, USB mirroring, that's actually new, HDMI, and then as we go to the next sub menu, you've got AV in, standby, and your OEM features. OEM features being if you had an Idylink Maestro plugged into this radio. Then you've got hard buttons on this side, hard capacitive touch buttons. That would be camera. So this radio's got a front camera input and a rear camera input. I do have to double check if the AV in will give you side camera, camera 3 and 4 input. I'm not sure. I have to double check that. I wasn't sure at the time of making this video. But I don't have a camera plugged into it, so obviously you won't be able to see any camera images when you push that button. But it's quite interesting that they have made it so that when you touch this, literally you've got your camera button right there. I have to double check. Yeah, so this is very similar. This menu button right here, this touch button will launch the top menu, which contains the camera menu or the camera settings selector right there. Also, I believe this may be programmable as well. And then you've got your setup menu, which will go into your audio settings, sound effect fader, balance, crossover. This has time alignment. It has your low pass filter, your high pass filter, different car settings and such. So you can change and tune your audio quite in depth with this radio. I'm just going to go home here. Now, I want to go through, before I show you the side mounting profile and the rear connections of this radio, I want to show you what comes in the box. Here's our box right here, and here are the contents. So first one being the radio. I made a video just recently on the Sony XAV-AX6000, which would be technically a model level up than this radio, but it's a competitor. The Sony does not come with this, the mounting cage, whereas the Kenwood does. So kudos to Kenwood for including these. As you'll see, it's very shallow, which you'll see when I show you the mounting depth of the radio. Bluetooth mic, that's included in the box. GPS antenna, that's included in the box. And this does not have GPS navigation, but it uses GPS signal to make the navigation of Apple CarPlay and Android Auto that much more accurate. This is your parking brake input wire. And then check this out, trim ring. I'm so happy that Kenwood continues to include trim rings for installation finishing. These trim rings are a lifesaver, especially when you're using the cage to mount. And then you've got your user guide, your ISO mount screws, your GPS pad, and then your radio keys. And then basically, I think that's it in this baggie. Okay, so let's show the side profile. You'll see it's one of the shallowest double DIN radios on the market. You got your ISO screws here. Your cage will only extend out to a little bit behind there. So if you have a vehicle that has a very shallow depth opening, I know a lot of Fords, a lot of Hondas, European like Volkswagens tend to not have a lot of depth behind the factory radio. This is a contender for you. Also for custom installations where you want to put a radio where routinely a radio may not be able to go, this is a game changer for that. So I'm going to show you the back of this radio. So you'll see essentially you have got your GPS antenna input, rear camera, video input, video out for your headrest screens, AV in. This is what I have to get clarity on, whether or not you can plug cameras in there. You have got, I'm not 100% sure what that connector is for. I believe that may be for HDMI. Your iData Link RS232. This is for your satellite radio. Then you've got your RCA pre-outs, triple pre-out, front rear sub. You've got your reverse wire, your parking brake wire, your main harness. You have got your microphone input, antenna input, and then you've got your USB input. So that would leave this as your HDMI. So it's going to be a dongle, which I'm not sure that they include. Oh, no, my mistake. Look, they hit it. HDMI input is here behind this screw. So you got to undo this. That's there. I got to look in the manual as to what this connector is there for. So apologies, I'm not ready for that on the video, but I will put that in the description of the video down below, what this input connector does. So that pretty much sums up the Kenwood DMX7709. I think it's going to be a very popular seller. I don't know if it's going to be my favorite for the year just because of the layout here, but for an entry-level or mid-level radio with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and now to have HDMI input, this is definitely a contender for one of the best radios of the year. But I think, unfortunately, Kenwood, I'm sorry to say, I think the Sonys are edging you out this year on being the better radio, at least in my opinion. Now, with that being said, the Sonys have nothing on the graphic user interface of the Kenwood. Kenwood is very nice. It's very glitzy, has a lot of features. You can change the background images. So a lot of guys, a lot of girls will like that better, whereas the Sony is much more plain, much more basic. So let me know in the comments below what you think of the video, what you think of my take on this radio. If you or someone you know is interested in getting a Kenwood DMX7709S, we sell these on our website, www.lockdownsecurity.ca. You can email us, sales@lockdownsecurity.ca. We'd love to answer any questions that you have. 1-866-824-4118 is our toll-free number. And if you like this video, hit the like button. If you could, subscribe to our YouTube channel. It goes a long way to helping us make more videos like this in the future. Hope you enjoyed it and look forward to making the next video. Thank you.